وأقول في القرآن ما جاءت به آياته فهو الكريم المنزال وأقول قال الله جل جلاله والمصطفى الهادي ولا أتأول.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على عبد الله ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To all of the brothers and sisters tuning in from home as part of the AMAU Junior Mentorship Program. It's my honor and my pleasure to be speaking to all of you today, our official AMAU students. Many people email us all the time and leave YouTube comments talking about AMAU and how much, with Allah's permission, it's changed their life and benefited them and they enjoy the content. But in reality, you guys are the special part of AMAU, because aside from the live classes that we teach on Patreon, you are part of our only official student batch, our only official institute, our official academy. That is what you guys are part of, and that is what this whole session is about. It's part of this whole program, and that should make you feel very proud. It should make you feel very happy, and it's something that you should always thank Allah for, because you have been chosen by Allah to seek knowledge at an age and in a society where many other people your age don't seek knowledge. And that is a huge blessing and a huge favor of Allah upon you. This particular session is not necessarily going to be talking about the core sciences of Islam. It's not going to be talking about Aqidah or Hadith or Fiqh. You have those lessons with your teachers, Sheikh Muhammad Humble and Sheikh Abdurrahman Hassan on the weekends. I'm not qualified to teach those subjects. But what we're going to be talking about today, insha'Allahu ta'ala, is exams. That dreaded word that all students hate. They're trying to avoid it all year long until they can no longer avoid it anymore. And the reason we've chosen this particular topic is because we're currently approaching exam season. Many of you, especially those in the West and those in the UK, are going to be taking your exams in the month of May or June or maybe July. And I'm not sure, to be honest with you personally, I'm not sure what it's like across the other regions of the world, but I'd assume it's something similar to that. So you're approaching exam season, and you need to know as a Muslim, how can you maximize this season, this period of time where you're going to be taking your exams? How should a Muslim look at this period of time where they're going to be taking their exams? Because the Muslim always thinks differently to the non-Muslim, because the Muslim knows his purpose in life. And the Muslim sees every single opportunity in this world as an opportunity to get closer to Allah, as an opportunity for reward. And that is exactly what we're going to be talking about, as well as some practical steps on how you can, inshallah, with Allah's help and permission, succeed in your exams. So many of you may have seen me before on some of the YouTube videos in AMAU, but the question is, why am I talking to you today about exams? Despite looking like an old man in front of you right now today, there was a time, once upon a time, where I was actually your age. And when I was your age, I also had to take exams. This is just a part of life. You can't escape it, unfortunately. So even when I was taking exams, I went through the exact same process that many of you are going through now. I went through the same feelings that many of you are going through now. And with Allah's help and His permission, His support, alhamdulillah, I was able to succeed in my GCSEs, my A-levels, and then I went on to study an accounting and finance degree at a university in the UK, and I graduated with Allah's help and permission with a first-class honours degree, which is the highest level you can get in any bachelor degree in the UK. After that, I qualified as a chartered accountant under the SEMA program, and Allah allowed me to pass even more exams as part of that program, and He allowed me to pass them all first time without any fails. So I understand what is required in order to, bi'idhnillahi, with Allah's help and His permission, to succeed in exams. So I've said a little bit about myself. I now want to hear more about you guys. It's the first time I'm doing this kind of session, as you guys know. So I'm going to be getting used to the technology as we go along, inshallah. But I want people to message in the Q&A portal, in the Q&A section of the Zoom session, because I know the chat is disabled. So where it says Q&A, I want to hear from you. Who has an exam or more than one exam coming up in the next, let's say, 4 months? So before the end of July this year, who has an exam coming up? If you do, then write me, M-E. I want to see how many people have exams coming up within the next 4 months. Okay, mashallah. A lot of responses are coming through. Allahumma barik. Sister Aisha, Afifa, Nukhba, Sultan. I'm not going to be able to read all of the names because there's going to be too many. But I think that kind of gives me an indication that there are some people on here who are going to be taking exams within the next 4 months. Next question I want to ask, again, I'm trying to get to know you. I want to get to know you guys a little bit better. This is my first chance to speak to you, brothers and sisters. So I want to get to know you a little bit better. The next question I'm going to ask is, what grade are you in? So in the UK, you call it year, like year 7, year 8, year 9. But I think university, it's called grade. What grade are you in? Just type in the number. Let me see what kind of answers we get here, inshallah. MashaAllah, 12th grade, year 7, 10, 10, 7, 9. Excellent, mashallah. So a real mix of students, different age groups. And understandably, because this is joint session, so what we've done in this session, we have 7 to 12-year-olds as well as 13 to 19-year-olds all on one session. So many of you will be in different grades, going through different stages, but normally from the age of, I actually don't know what age the exam starts, but I'd say from the age of 12 maybe, is that right? The exam starts, maybe you have maybe even before that, I'm not sure, I can't remember. But around about that age, I think you have exams. So for the younger students who maybe aren't taking exams this year, this session will inshallah still be of benefit, because at some point, inshallah, if Allah grants you life, you're going to be able to take exams, inshallah. Secondly, some of the principles we're mentioning in this session are not just specific to exams. They're actually wider than that. They're more generic and broader than that. And they can be applied to even adulthood. I actually apply some of these principles in my life today. So inshallah, it will be of benefit to everyone, but obviously more benefit to those who are going to be taking exams soon. So the first question I want to ask as an introductory question is, like I mentioned before, Muslims will look at everything in life differently to non-Muslims because we know what our purpose in life is. The question I want to ask, what does Allah, and it's a very wide question, it's a very broad question, what does Allah or Islam have to do with your exams? It's a very wide question, right? It's not a very specific question. What does Allah or Islam have to do with your exams? How can you relate the religion to your exams? How do the two even connect to each other in any way? And I'm willing to hear even far-fetched answers. It might not be something that, you might have to think outside the box. So anybody who wants to come forward with that kind of answer, you're more than welcome. MashaAllah, Brother Sultan. This life is an exam from Allah. Allahu Akbar, very true, very true. This life is the ultimate exam. Very, very true. Any more? Okay. Fatima says, we should do our best to study and believe in the qadr, the good and the bad. Excellent, excellent answer, mashallah. That's true. Afifa said, by getting good grades, I am able to please my parents. Allahu Akbar, what an act of worship. That's a brilliant answer. That's a brilliant answer. And Allah asked to obey your parents and please them, so this is motivation for me. Allahu Akbar. I'm starting to understand the caliber. How can I say the word caliber? I'm understanding the level of the students we have on this program. It's very high. It's very good, mashallah. Some of these answers, there's many adults who may be walking around the face of the earth. They wouldn't even think of these answers. Really impressive, mashallah. Allah is testing us through life, Sister Rihanna. Do ihsan in studying and exams. Nukhba, excellent answer, mashallah. We should say, Rabbi zidni ilma, Isa. Excellent answer as well, mashallah. The only thing that the Prophet ﷺ was commanded to ask for an increase in knowledge. Rabbi zidni ilma. Najma says, when practicing for your exam, you have to try your best and Allah will do the rest. Excellent, nice. I'm not sure if you meant to rhyme that, but it goes well. Like the hadith that mentions, tie your camel. Getting good grades, I can help the Muslims. Aisha, I think some of you should actually be in my chair and teach the lesson instead of me, because these are really, really good answers. Allahumma barik. You've really covered a lot of what I was going to say in reality. Allahumma barik. Very good, mashallah. The answer is, first and foremost, we all want to do well in our exams. And we should have the right intention wanting to do well in our exams, which I'm going to talk about soon, inshallah. But the reality we have to understand is that Allah is in control of everything. Our job is to put in the effort The result, it lies with Allah. How many times do we hear in the Qur'an, Inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. Allah is the one who is control over all things. Everything, including your exam results, it's in the hands of Allah. But your job is to work hard. Your job is to be organized. Your job is to take them seriously. Your job is to put all the effort in, but you have to leave the result to Allah. And that's why sometimes you might see two students going to the same lessons, going home and looking over the same textbooks and the same notes, revising the same amount of time, yet one of them succeeds, one of them fails. One of them passes, one of them fails. Why? Because the result is in the hands of Allah. And that's how the Muslim should think. Now that doesn't mean that you don't come with any efforts, because we're going to talk about that as well. The Muslim puts his efforts in and then leaves the result to Allah. If you know this, if you understand this, that my exam results, as much effort as I can put in and I should put in, my exam results are ultimately in the hands of Allah, then that would actually make you understand that this exam period, these next few months that you're going to go through, which may be the busiest months that you've had in your life so far, is not the time to take it easy with the religion. It's not the time to start sinning. It's not the time to leave Allah out of your life. Rather, it's the time to bring Him in. It's the time to increase in good deeds. It's the time to like one of the sisters said, to please your parents. It's the time to do all of these things because you need Allah's help. And Allah's help will come when you look after that which Allah has commanded you to do. Ihfadillah yahfadk. This is really the essence of how the Muslim should look at the exam period. This is not a time for me to get distant from Allah. Just because the dunya is getting busy, just because my exams are requiring a lot of time, I'll leave Allah alone and I'll start focusing on my exams. You're setting yourself up to fail. In reality, you should work hard. We're going to talk a lot about the practical benefits and the practical tips that you guys can implement, inshallah, and how it's important as a Muslim to work hard. But understand that you need Allah's help. You're not going to succeed in these exams or anything in life except with the help of Allah. And I want to recall a story which will help put this into context and how you can practically implement this mindset and how you can bring it to life. Sometimes you're going to have situations over the next few months where you're so busy, you're going to think, I don't have time to do anything else. I've got a physics exam tomorrow and a maths exam the next day and an English language exam the day after. I'm drowning in textbooks and flashcards and I'm trying to revise. I'm not going to be able to succeed in these exams unless I put 100% of my time into this. The danger of that is that you might forget that Allah is in control of the balaka in your time. Who knows what balaka means? Who can give me like a loose, doesn't have to be exactly, but a loose translation definition of balaka? Excellent. I can see some participants raising their hands. If you want to answer, inshallah, go on the Q&A box and type your answer, inshallah. That would be the best way to answer. Excellent. Blessings, yes. Blessings are good translations. It's the best we can. Obviously, whenever you translate an Arabic word into English, you're always going to lose some of the meaning. Balaka is exactly that. That you might think in 1 hour of time that you're able to do this. But Allah allows you to do more in that 1 hour. More than you imagined. More than maybe someone else can do. Why? Because you have balaka in your time. And who doesn't want that in exam season? When the times and the days are counting down to your exam and the hours are counting down, you're trying to cram in the last minute revision. Who doesn't want the help of Allah then? Of course you all do. So how can you get the barakah from Allah? You have to safeguard what He's obligated upon you. You have to get close to Him. I'll tell you a personal story that happened to me. Right now in my job, what I do is I manage the AMAU projects. This is kind of what I do in essence in this job. 2 years ago when I first took on this job, there was a brother who had worked in Dawah, who had worked in similar companies as AMAU, and he sat down with me and gave me advice. The brother's name was Abdullah Shetty. And you should know Abdullah Shetty because he also sat with Ustad Muhammad Tim Humble on one of your life skills sessions talking about how you can become volunteers, how you can do more for your community. I think it was last month's session. Abdullah Shetty has got more experience than me in running Islamic organizations. And he sat down with me and he said, Akhi, one thing you're going to realize is that sometimes your day is going to be so busy, You're going to have meetings, you're going to have things to organize, you're going to have videos to release. It's going to be so busy that you're going to think, I don't have any time to do anything else, and I just need to get on with my work. But if you just spent 20 minutes in the morning reading Qur'an, it might seem logically to you that you've lost 20 minutes from your day, right? Because I've just spent 20 minutes in the morning reading Qur'an. That means I could have done work in that time, but I spent that time reading Qur'an. He said, if you do that, you'll realize that Allah makes the rest of your day easy. You have balaka in your time. You're able to do more in that day. But if you think logically and you think, I'm going to take control of my situation and I'm going to leave Allah out of the picture and I'm going to start work from the morning and go all the way to the evening, I'm not going to read any Qur'an, I'm not going to pray my prayers, I'm not do any of this, then guess what's going to happen? You're not going to get as much done. You think you're doing more because you've got more time that you're using to study, but the barakah of the time is going to go, and Allah will throw difficulties in your way because you've turned away from Him. Allah is going to throw difficulties and challenges in your way, which will mean that you won't revise as much as you could have done if you just gave Him 20 minutes in the morning to read His book. And this is something that personally I've seen in my life. I really have seen in my life. If I spend 20 minutes in the morning just reading Qur'an, the rest of the day it seems easy. Things just come into place. It's smooth. And then I've also, unfortunately, I have to be honest, I've also seen the other way. If I don't do that and I choose not to do that and I look at my schedule and I think it's too busy today, let me just go straight after Fajr, go to work, and I'm not going to have time to read Qur'an. Guess what happens? That meeting that I thought would take half an hour, it takes 4 hours. And I don't get as much done in the day. This is something that I really want you guys to understand. Don't put Allah out of your life in the period that you need Him in your life the most. You need Allah in your life right now more than any other time in your life. And you need Him all the time. I'm going to say that again. You need Allah right now in your life more than any other time in your life, and you need Him all the time. You need Him to wake up in the morning. You need Him to be able to give you the ability to even brush your teeth. Simple tasks that you think that you're in control of, that you have the ability to do. Allah is the one who's given you the ability. Allah is the one who's allowing you right now to sit on your laptop or your mobile phone and view this session. Allah decreed and chose you to be listening to this session. Allah is in control of all of the things you do. You need Him. You need His help. You can't do it without Him. Right now you need Him so much because you're going to be so stressed, and these exams are important. And they're an important part of your life. And therefore, you really need to make sure that you don't cut Allah out of your life. That is the first reason why, how Islam relates to your exams. There is a second reason though. The second reason is found in the Hadith of Abi Ya'la Shaddad ibn Aus radiyallahu anhu, where the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, Inna Allah kataba al-ihsan ala kulli shay. Allah has prescribed, He's ordained. I'm trying to think of the best words to use it for people your age. Allah wants excellence. That's the best way. Allah wants excellence in everything. As a Muslim, you should want to be excellent in everything. One of the sisters actually mentioned this in the answers. She said we should have ihsan in everything we do. Perfect. It's exactly that. You as a Muslim should have excellence in everything you do. Now, naturally, of course, that's going to apply to your religious acts. You should be excellent in your prayer. You should be excellent in your fasting. You should be excellent in your relationship to your parents. But it also applies to your dunya matters, what you would see as maybe a matter of the dunya. You should do excellent in your exams. You should work hard. You should be organized. You should have this intention to succeed in these exams. That is part of being a Muslim. The Muslim looks at everything in his life and says, I'm going to be excellent in this. I'm going to be the best son. I'm going to be the best brother. I'm going to be the best sister. I'm going to be the best daughter. I'm also going to be the best student. I'm going to be the best worshipper. You want to be the best at everything. The Muslim wants to be the best at everything. And this is what Allah wants from you. Allah wants you to be the best at everything. Don't look at these exams. It's not religious. I don't need to try on them. It's not that important. No. Allah wants excellence from you in these exams. He wants you to work hard. He wants you to do your best. He wants you to excel. He wants you to succeed. Does anybody know this hadith that I mentioned? Inna Allah kataba al-ihsan ala kulli shay. And the hadith goes on as well. Does anybody know which hadith book this hadith is mentioned in? It's a tough question. I'm not sure anyone's going to get the answer to this, but I have been impressed so far. Does anybody know? Juwayliya guess Riyadh al-Salihin. Good guess. Good guess. It could be in there, but that's not what I have. I don't know. I don't know if it's in there or not. That's the reality. But that's not the most famous book that I know where this hadith is quoted often. The answer is, it's in the Sahih of Imam Muslim, but also is in the 40 hadith of Imam Nawawi, that very well-known hadith book. Why am I mentioning that? Because you're soon going to be studying that book, inshallah. As part of this program, you're soon going to be studying that book in the next module. So it's just a little taster of some of the hadiths that you're going to benefit from, inshallah, when you learn that with your teachers, Sheikh Muhammad Tim Humble and Sheikh Abdul Rahman Hassan, inshallah. Right, what have we understood so far? We've understood two things. You need to be excellent, and the result is in Allah's hand. Guess what we've just done? We've just taken the definition of at-tawakkul. Tawakkul means that you try everything you can. You need to be prepared. You need to work hard. You need to be organized. You need to be excellent in everything you do, in your revision, in your preparation, in your memorization, in your learning, in your study. You need to do everything, and try your best. And you need to be excellent. And ultimately, you rely upon Allah. That is what putting your trust in Allah, that is what at-tawakkul means in the religion of Islam. It means you do everything you can, everything that's in control of you, you be excellent, and ultimately you leave the result to Allah. And now what you should have understood is that you should be looking at these exams from a different set of eyes now. They should seem different to you now. Why? Because you understand that these exams are an act of worship. If you have the right intention, these exams are an act of worship that you will be rewarded for. Just like you'll be rewarded if you went to the masjid and you prayed the salah and you read the Qur'an and you woke up for tahajjud and you fasted in Ramadan. These are all ritualistic acts of worship that we know, inshallah, if our intention is sincere, we'll get rewarded for them. But even your exams, treat them as an act of worship. Why? Because you want to be excellent in them. And Allah wants you to be excellent in them. So you're doing this to please Allah. You're doing this to please Allah. One of the students said, I want to do one of my exams because I want to please my parents. And Allah has told me to please my parents. Excellent, that's brilliant. That's exactly what we're saying now. This is an act of worship. And when you make it an act of worship, guess what? Every single second you're engaged in studying or revising or thinking or memorizing, you're rewarded for it because you made it an act of worship. And I'm going to say something now that the big people have to think about. The students, some of the students, especially the younger students, you won't be thinking like this right now. But the reality is these exams, with Allah's help and His permission, they can open up doors for you to do good things for the ummah. For example, if you end up getting a good job as a result of these exams, if Allah decrees that for you, you can give money in charity. You can help organizations in Dawah, in Islam, in feeding the poor. You can look after the brothers who are listening to this. You can look after your wife. You can look after your wife and your children. These are all acts of worship. So think big. Don't think small. Don't think I just want to do these exams. Why? Because, I don't know, I feel like I have to and all my friends are doing them and everyone's telling me I have to do them and I've got no way out. No, you're going to get zero reward then. Think, I'm going to do these exams. Why? Number one, Allah wants me to be excellent. Number two, my parents want me to do well in the exams. Number three, I want to do something good with my money and good with my job. I want to give it in charity. I want to move to a Muslim country. This seems like ages away for many of you, but time will come quickly. I told you one time, long time ago, I was in your shoes thinking about exams. I remember that. And now I'm here and I feel like an old man. That's going to happen very fast to you guys, trust me. So you want to be able to do good things with your life, and the ability to do good things with your life, sometimes, with Allah's permission, it comes back to your exams and the opportunities that they open up for you. Think big, think like a Muslim, treat this like an act of worship, and guess what? You'll be rewarded for every single second that you spend revising and you're in the bedroom and you're trying to post-it notes and flashcards and everything else. Allahu Akbar, who doesn't want that reward? It's a huge amount of reward, inshallah. Now we're going to talk about practical steps. We've spoken about the religious aspect. That's really important and that's why I started with it. It's an introduction and it's how the Muslim should look at exams. I'm now going to be talking about practical steps that you can use in studying. And I've broken it down into three sections: before exams, during your exams, and after exams. Before exams is kind of the period you're in now, right? If you've got another 2 or 3 months to your exams, talking about revision, talking about preparation, all of this kind of stuff. And I've got 6 tips for you, inshallah. First one is get to know yourself. What does that mean? When you're going through exam season and exam preparation, what you'll often find is that sometimes on YouTube, there are some videos that will tell you how to do well in your exams. But these are generic guidelines. They're just general. I could sit here and talk to you about general rules, rules that work for most people. That's the best way I can describe it. General rules that will work for most people. But there might be specific rules that work for you that are better than the general rules. And the only way you're going to find this out is by experimenting, by understanding yourself. What do I mean by this? For example, the average attention span of a person, we're told, is about 45 minutes. Attention span is how much you can sit down and concentrate on something before you just get bored and your mind just switches off. It's roughly 45 minutes, although I think I heard that stat many years ago, and now with social media and everything else, it's probably less than that because people have got used to that. But attention span might be average 45 minutes, but guess what? For you, it might be more or it might be less. You're not going to know this until you actually try it. You have to sit down. You have to time yourself. You have to think about it. You have to really get to know yourself. The exam season is a really good opportunity to get to know yourself. What works, what doesn't work. You might find that actually, I can have attention span for 1 hour. Allahumma barik. Allah bless me. So why would you have your session for 45 minutes just because someone on YouTube said that? Rather, tailor it to yourself. Make it specific to yourself. If I can study for 1 hour, let me study for 1 hour. Maybe you might realize that I can only study for 20 minutes. And then I need a 5-minute break, and then I can come back for another 20 minutes. That's what I mean by experimenting and getting to know yourself. And the quicker the student gets to know himself, the more beneficial his life will be. The quicker the Muslim gets to know himself or herself, the more beneficial their life will be. This is a very important aspect because right now you're taking one set of exams, but most of you, unless you're right at the end of your education, which I don't think anyone is at the age of 19, or maybe they are if you're not going to university, but most of you will have exams next year and the year after and the year after that. So the quicker you understand what works well for you, the easier it's going to be in the future years, inshallah. Another thing where you need to understand what works for you is the different ways of learning. Some people learn really well from flashcards. And what they do is they have post-it notes and they write down things and they post it all over the bedroom walls. Some people are like this. So every time they wake up, they walk around, they see, oh, okay, yep, that reminds me. Okay, yep, that reminds me. Other people are not like that. They like to have their walls clear so it keeps their mind clear. This is all different ways. No way is right, no way is wrong. It's just different ways of learning. Some people can actually read books and they prefer to learn that way. Let me read the textbook. And that's the way I learn. Another person might say, I can't do that. I need to watch a video. And the video is the teacher explaining it. Experiment, find out your different ways of learning. Past papers is another really good thing. Like I personally benefit from past papers. I used to go through past papers. What questions have been asked before? Let me see the answers. Okay, yep, I can do that one. I can do that one. I just used to do a lot of past papers. Another person might say, I don't like that. I just want to learn the textbook. How to memorize, because in exams you have to memorize, right? And the AMAU Junior Mentorship Program has a memorization portal. So inshallah, if you've been doing that the last few months, you've been developing your memory muscle, because memory is a muscle. If you've been doing that the last few months, inshallah, it will help you now with your exams. Look how Allah makes the religion able to help you throughout your entire life. Allahu Akbar. Memorization, what I used to do, this is going to sound strange, is I used to walk up and down. Even if it's a small space in my bedroom, I used to just walk up and down. Even if it's just 4 steps there and 4 steps back. That's how I memorize best. I couldn't memorize when I'm just sitting down. It wouldn't go in. But if I walk, it's maybe the movement. I don't know what it is. And I've been told I'm not alone. Sometimes, a lot of people like to walk while they memorize. To this day, I use that. And that's what I said at the start. Some of these tips are going to stick with you to adult life. It's a great opportunity at your age now to understand what works for you in life. Even to this day, if I'm memorizing Qur'an or Hadith, I'm in the masjid, I walk all the way from one end of the masjid to the other. And I walk back. And I walk back. And I'm just memorizing like this. That's just what works for me. So find out what works for yourself. This is also applicable not just to study techniques, but it also applies to other things like your sleep schedule. A lot of students, when they come to exam season, they think, I can't sleep much because if I sleep, then I'm taken away from my study time. So let me just cut down on my sleep to the bare minimum. Sometimes that might work for you, but for other people, it might actually be less productive because they might sleep less, but they're so tired during the day that they can't actually study. So what have you actually benefited? What have you gained? Find out what works for you. This I'm telling you, if you can do this early on in your life, wallah, it's a blessing from Allah upon you. It's not just going to benefit you in exams. It will benefit you throughout your whole life. I know people my age, 30-year-olds, 32, 33, 34. I know people older than me, 50, 60, who still haven't figured themselves out. They still haven't worked themselves out what works for me. You don't want to be in that position. You've got a chance to do it now. It will help you in your exams and it will help you in your life. So do that even with sleep. Different people have different commitments. So one student might be able to spend 10 hours a day studying. Another student might be involved with their parents might need them more. What do? Do you study or do you help your parents? If you help your parents, you remember that Allah is in control of my exam results. Surely by helping my parents and by pleasing Allah, He's going to make my exams easy for me. That's how the Muslim thinks. Anything that's obligatory upon you, you can't leave it. If your parents ask you to do something, it's an obligation to obey your parents as long as they're not commanding you in disobedience of Allah. If you have to go to if you have to pray, you can't not pray. You have to pray if you're at that age. If you have to fast during Ramadan, it's a big one now because it's coming now. If your Ramadan is literally around the corner, we ask Allah to allow us to reach the month of Ramadan. But if Ramadan comes and you're at the age where you have to fast, and you think if I fast in Ramadan, I'm not going to have any energy to study and I'm not going to be able to do revision for 6 hours a day, maybe this Ramadan I won't fast. What have you done? You've put the exam results in your hands. You think you know what's best, when in reality we said before, Allah is the one who's in control of your results. You have to do what's obligatory upon you, otherwise you're just shooting yourself in the foot. That's an expression, but otherwise you're not helping yourself. You're not helping yourself. Second thing I want to mention in the before exam, this is the revision period, is plan. You have enough time now, between now and when you take your exams, to plan your schedule. What I find helps, for example, is having an Excel spreadsheet. I still do this to this day. I think most of these things that I've written, to be honest with you, I'd still apply them in my life today. I have an Excel spreadsheet that tells me at this time in the morning, on this day, I'm studying, or this time in the morning, I'm working, or this time is for my family, or this time, or this time I'm doing exercise, which I never do because I always just replace it with something else. But you get the point. This is an opportunity for you to organize your life in a schedule and say, these are my study sessions. This is when I'm going to study maths. This is when I'm going to study physics. This is when I'm going to do this. So do that. I think it helps if you're good at sticking to it. Plan. Have a study schedule. Have an Excel spreadsheet. Have a Microsoft Word document. Whatever works. Just do it on pen and paper if you want. But just have something where you have structure. Because if you don't have structure, then most likely you won't get much done because you don't know what to do. Sometimes the hardest thing is actually choosing what to do. You know, there's some people who live life right now, they're called minimalists. A minimalist is someone who lives life very simple. They've got like the same sets of clothes. They might have 4 of the same trousers and they don't have many clothes. And at home, they don't have much stuff. They just have a sofa and chairs and they have lots and lots of stuff. When you speak to them, they say, I prefer to keep my mind empty. If my life has a lot of stuff in it, I've got a lot of clothes, I have to go to the wardrobe and think, what should I wear today? What should I wear today? What should I wear today? And it's already taken time. And secondly, it's actually harder to make that decision. So they think I just have the same 4 trousers, it's easy, I just pick one, put them on. What's the harm in that? What I'm saying is that if you don't have a schedule, you're going to be starting your day by thinking, what should I do today? What should I do today? What should I do today? And you're going to choose whatever's easiest. You're going to choose whatever's most enjoyable. That might be watching TV, that might be going out with friends, whatever it is. So if you have a schedule, you don't need to make that decision. You wake up, you look at the day and you say, today I'm doing maths. Tomorrow I'm doing physics. So it's a good tip. Have a schedule, inshallah. Third thing I want to mention is make sure you have the right environment around you when it comes to studying. You don't want to be in an environment that's too loud. You don't want to be in an environment where you can't concentrate, you can't focus, and you definitely don't want to be studying when you can see your mobile phone. Don't have your mobile phone in front of you. Some of you shouldn't even have a mobile phone. You're not at that age where you should have a mobile phone. But if you do, don't study with your phone in front of you because we all know what happens. You're doing some work, you're really in the zone, and that notification comes up on WhatsApp and you get distracted. And even if you don't read it, it's taken your flow away. It's taken your your flow away. I don't know how else to put it, but it's taking your focus away, your concentration. Again, these tips, I use them in my life to this day. When I'm working on something, I'm normally working on the laptop, and I need to focus on it, I put my mobile phone here. Can they see this? They can see this, right? I put my mobile phone here. Why? It's behind my laptop. I can't see it. And even then, I actually have my notifications off. Even if you message me on WhatsApp, it's not going to show on my screen because I just have it off. I can't tell. The only time I know when someone's messaged me on WhatsApp is when I click on WhatsApp and I see and I say, oh, this person's messaged me. I don't have notifications, but still, I still keep it here. I don't even want to see the phone because if I see the phone, it might be a trigger. It might make me want to pick up the phone. If I pick up the phone, I might click on WhatsApp or YouTube or something else. So why don't I just keep the phone here? I can't even see it. It allows me to concentrate. Don't have your phone in sight. The next one I want to talk about is linked to the phone. Get off social media as much as you can. This might be hard for some of you, but at least during this exam period, which is only 3 or 4 months, and it's a really important 3 or 4 months in your life. It's really important. Imagine your whole year that you've gone to school every single day, if you were going to school or if you were homeschooled or if you had COVID or if like your school was shut down because of COVID and you had Zoom classes. Either way, all these classes that you've been going for a whole year from 9 o'clock in the morning to 3 p.m, at least something along those hours, for a whole year, it comes down to this exam. That's what it comes down to. This is really important. It's really important exams. Take them seriously. Try your best. As a Muslim, personally, I don't believe a Muslim should really be on social media much anyway. I'll be honest with you. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, I don't have any of that stuff. I think it's very dangerous. But if you feel like you have that stuff and you can't really leave it, at least try leaving it for 2 months, for 3 months. Just try leaving it for this period. Why? Because these apps are built to make you crave something called dopamine. Dopamine is basically something that is when you're looking at Instagram and you're just flicking through, or Twitter or Facebook or whatever it is, you're flicking through, it's doing something to your brain. It's making you feel like things are always moving fast and you always need the next thing. Oh, I'm bored of this. What's the next thing? I'm bored of this. What's the next thing? Next thing. It's making you, actually making it harder for you to concentrate. When you do this and then 2 hours later, you sit down with your laptop or your pen and pad and you think, let me study now. You sit down after 30 seconds, 40 seconds, you get agitated. You're like, I can't do this. It's not because you naturally have a low attention span. Like we said, the average attention span is 45 minutes. It's because you've spent so much time on social media or playing computer games or watching TV. You spend so much time doing these kind of things that now you can't even study. You can't even sit down and just study for half an hour because you're used to life moving fast. Computer games, bam, this one's coming here and this one's coming here, and TV and bang, 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 and Instagram and Facebook, everything's moving fast. That when things go slow, and when it's just you and a piece of paper and a pen, it becomes really hard because you're not used to it. You're used to things jumping out and you're used to things being fast. This is really important. I was thinking maybe I should have put it as number one, but this is so important. As a Muslim and someone who wants to do well in your exams, try and stay off these things. I know it's not easy, but try your hardest, inshallah. The next one I want to talk about, and I've got 3 more, is eating. That you should eat healthily. And I have to make a disclaimer because I know the AMAU team are watching me and they know that I'm not the best at this. I'm not the best at eating healthily. So I have to say that I'm telling you guys to do this because it will help you, but I'm not saying I do it myself. I'm just telling you guys, but I'm not saying I do it myself. Eating healthy will actually help you in the exams. Why? Because it actually affects your brain. The food you eat, number 1, affects your brain. Number 2, it actually affects your productivity. Have you guys ever noticed that when you eat a lot and you become really, really full and you've eaten so much, it's probably the wrong kind of food as well, like junk food. And then you think, I don't want to do anything. I just want to lie down. I just want to go to sleep. I just want to have a nap. That actually happens to me sometimes. And that's when I realized it came down to the food. If I didn't have that food, I could have studied now. I could have done something with my life. I could have been more productive now. Eating is really important. You are what you eat, they say. You have to be careful of what you eat because it will affect your brain and it will affect your productivity. I remember in exam season, I used to not drink fizzy drinks. I used to drink fizzy drinks when I was younger. Again, ideally, you wouldn't be drinking fizzy drinks at all. Ideally, because they're not good for you. But I did. When I was younger, I used to drink fizzy drinks. And there was this one fizzy drink that I used to really like. It's actually, you get it in England. At least you used to get it in England. I think you probably can do. It's actually from Scotland, I believe. It's called Iron Brew. Iron Brew was an orange fizzy drink. I used to love the colour. I used to drink Iron Brew all the time. During exam season, I used to not drink fizzy drinks. Not because it's haram to drink fizzy drinks, but I used to not drink fizzy drinks just to keep my mind clear. I actually just want to keep my mind clear, and I want to be focused. I want to be able to focus on my exams. So eating healthily, trying to drink lots of water and not fizzy drinks, all of this is important, inshallah. The next thing is and it's similar to what I just mentioned before, is exercise. Islam came to ensure that we have a healthy body, a healthy mind, and a healthy soul. A healthy mind is always going to be there because you're studying for your exams. Your mind is always actively engaging in learning. A healthy soul should be there because we mentioned that Allah is in control of your results. And therefore you have to worship Allah. You can't give up your worship. Healthy body is also important. You have to exercise. If you exercise, it actually allows you to have blood flowing through your brain more, and that actually helps you with your focus and your concentration. Exercising also releases something called endorphins, and this makes you happy. It makes you energetic. It actually helps you. If you can exercise, it will help you in your exams. Again, some of this advice, I'm not saying you have to do it, but I'm saying these are the things that will help. And if you try it, maybe you'll find out, inshallah. I'm just conscious of the time. I assume I'm able to go over the time a little bit. Khair, inshallah. The next thing and the last thing before exams is tick off the small wins. What do I mean by that? Is sometimes you might study for 5 or 10, for like an hour, and you might get one particular chapter done in a book. Tick it off and just say, I did that. Allahumma barik. Allah allowed me to do that. Alhamdulillah. Why? Because this actually helps you motivate yourself. It keeps the motivation going. This is something we need in life. When we see ourselves progress, this happens with people memorizing the Qur'an, for example. I've memorized this surah. Now I've memorized this half a juz. Now I've done this juz. Now I've done these 2 juz. It actually motivates you. I want more of this. It feels good. And it helps you do more. So don't just think I need to get from here all the way to my exams. Have small goals in between. And the more you break it up into small goals, have a wall chart or something where you can tick them off and say, I did this, I've done this one, I've done this one. It allows you to be motivated and get through the rest, inshallah. Those are my pieces of advice for before the exams. Now, inshallah, I'm actually going to be talking about what to do during the exams. This is going to be much less, inshallah. Before the exams is mainly the bulk of it, right? Because you're revising, you're preparing, you're organizing, you're planning, etc. Now it's during the exams. My first piece of advice is a really important one. Always stay positive. Always stay positive. The worst thing you can do after you come out of an exam is think, I failed that exam, it went really bad. Do you know why? It's going to put you in a down mood. And you're not going to be able to focus on the next exam. The next exam has got nothing to do with that previous exam. But you've let it affect your mood, and now you're not going to be able to study as hard for the next exam because you're not going to be motivated. The Muslim is mutafa'il. The Muslim is an optimist. Optimist is someone who always looks on the good side, always thinks good of Allah. In the Hadith Qudsi, Ana 'inda dhanni 'abdi bi. Allah says that I am as my slave thinks of me. If you come out of an exam and think, I failed that exam, you probably will fail that exam. Rather, you should always think good of Allah and say, no, that exam went okay. Convince yourself even. And there's many times in my past where I've actually come out of an exam and thought I did really badly. I thought there's no way I passed that exam. You get the results and you realize, Allahu Akbar, I passed the exam. So why did I make myself feel bad for? Why did I do that to myself for no reason at all? Why did I let it affect my motivation for the next exam? And there's other times where I've come out of an exam and I've thought, oh, that went amazing. Allahumma barik, I knew everything. That's amazing. I get the result and it's a fail. And I'm like, what? How did that happen? The reality is you don't know if you've passed or failed. Don't worry about that. Just do your exam and stay positive and focus on the next exam. Next one is very similar to what I mentioned before about ticking off the small wins. Tick off your exams. Again, we're talking about what to do during your exams now. Not necessarily the exam itself, but during that period where you're taking exams. We spoke previously about before exams, like now until May or whatever it is. Now it's like during the exam week, for example. Tick off the exams. Say, I've done maths now, I've done physics. This will motivate you. And use the summer holidays to motivate yourself. In the UK, and I assume it's globally as well, there's normally a long period of time after your exams before you start your next academic year. It's normally about 2 or 3 months, right? Those 2 or 3 months, you get to enjoy yourself. All of your exams are done. Use that to motivate yourself. Say, I'm going to work really, really hard. I'm going to work really, really hard so I can get to that period and I can relax. And this is what the religion teaches us as well. For example, we have Ramadan, and right after Ramadan comes Eid. So we work really, really hard in Ramadan so we can enjoy Eid with our families and our friends and relax. And also life as a whole is like that. Someone said that life is an exam from Allah. We work really hard in life so we can get to Jannah. We can enjoy eternity in Jannah. Bi-idhnillah. We ask Allah to make us people of Jannah. So always have this kind of mindset. I'm going to work really hard and I'm going to rest later. I'm going to relax later. And if you work really hard, guess what? You're going to enjoy your summer holidays. You're going to look back and say, at least I tried my best. Alhamdulillah, I can really enjoy myself these next 2 or 3 months. But if you don't work hard, then you're not even going to enjoy your summer holidays. You're going to be thinking, oh, if only I did a bit more and that exam was really hard. I wish I did something different here. Don't have any regrets in your summer holidays. Work hard, then enjoy. The last thing that I'm going to talk about now is after exams. But there's a question here. What can you do to help your exams after you've done them? Imagine you've just done your exams now. They're finished. You've done all your work. Now what can you do? How can you still help your exams? Or how can you help the results of your exams? Anybody has an answer for that? They can type it in the Q&A box. Allahu Akbar. Someone got it already. MashaAllah. A lot of people are getting it. Allahumma barik. Muhammad Abu Bakr, Juwairiya, Ad-Du'a. Ad-Du'a. You can ask Allah, oh Allah, the results haven't come yet. Oh Allah, grant me a good result. Oh Allah, it's in your hands. I put my effort in. I tried. Let me pass these exams. Ad-Du'a. And this is what I want to end with. The reason I want to end with is because this is your most powerful weapon and your biggest chance to pass your exams. Because what did we say at the start? Allah is in control of the result. Your biggest way of actually passing your exams is by asking Allah. Raising your hands, saying, oh Allah, make my exams easy for me. Oh Allah, put balaka in my time. Oh Allah, allow me to pass these exams. Oh Allah, allow me to do well in these exams so I can use them to worship your religion. I can use these GCSEs or these A-levels or these university exams to benefit your religion. So I can provide for my family. I can get a good job and provide for my family. I can get a good job and give in sadaqah and give in charity. That's what the Muslim does. Always understands and always raises his or her hands to Allah. And this is important before your exam starts. It's important during the exam or during the exam period, even during the exam even. And it's important after your exams. This is the thing that never leaves. And the Muslim should never stop. In everything in life, but particularly for what you're going through right now, like I said, you need the help of Allah more right now than ever before. It's really important you ask Allah to help you, to aid you, to benefit you, to make things easy for you. Don't forget about Allah. Do all your hard work. I just went through the tips, the practical tips, right? I'm not saying forget about them. Do them as well, but make dua. And this is, like I said, this is at-tawakkul. This is putting your trust in Allah. You do all the hard work, you do all the planning, you do all the preparation, you do all the revising, and you ask Allah, oh Allah, make it easy for me. Oh Allah, allow me to pass. This is at-tawakkul. But you need to come with the hard work as well as the dua. If you just make dua and you just sit back and you don't do anything, you say, oh Allah, grant me success in these exams, and you don't put any effort in, it's not tawakkul, it's tawakkul. In the Arabic language, it's called at-tawakkul. It's a fake version of tawakkul. It's not real. It's not the real tawakkul. You're just saying, oh Allah, make my exams easy for me, and you're not putting any effort. You're not trying. It's not what the Muslim does. The Muslim puts the effort in and always, always, always asks Allah. And what a blessing, and I'm going to end with this inshallah. What a blessing that the month of Ramadan has come just before your exams. Why? Because the month of Ramadan is a month of dua. Just like it's a month of Qur'an, it's a month of dua as well. What an opportunity you guys have. When I was taking my exams, I can't remember when the Ramadan was. I'll be honest with you, I can't remember when Ramadan was. But I'm not sure if it was this close to exam season. It might have been after exams. It might have been in the winter. It might have been in November or December. You have an opportunity. Allah has chosen, because we know Ramadan moves every year, right? It comes 10 days earlier, according to, because it's based on the Islamic calendar. and not the Western calendar we have. And the Western calendar is what the exams are based on. So Ramadan can change throughout the year because it comes 10 days earlier. You have an opportunity now that Ramadan has come this month and your exams are the next month after Ramadan or the month after that. What an opportunity. What a blessing of Allah upon you, that you can use this month to beg Allah, oh Allah, allow me to do well in my exams. Oh Allah, allow me to pass my exams. Ramadan is a month of dua, just like it's a month of Qur'an. And the proof for that is in Surah Al-Baqarah, when Allah mentions the ayat of Ramadan, starting with Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, kutiba alaykum as-siyam, kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum, la'allakum tattaqun. After these ayats that talk about the fiqh of Ramadan, and what is halal and what is haram, in between that, there's an ayah of dua. There's an ayah of dua which shows that dua is an essential part of Ramadan. Take advantage of this golden opportunity. The month of Ramadan is around the corner. We ask Allah to allow us to reach it. Ask Allah to help you with your exams. That is what Allah made easy for me to mention. I went a little bit over the allotted time. Please forgive me for that. So we have now an opportunity for Q&A, inshallah. So anybody who has a question that they'd like to ask, they can post it into the Q&A section on the Zoom call, inshallah. And I'll do my best. What Allah makes easy for me to answer, I'll try and answer. And if I don't know the answer, then I'll let you guys know. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that. Juwaidia is asking, how about seeking Islamic knowledge versus studying? What do we pick? I think, personally, that there's not a contradiction between the two. And a Muslim can do both. Especially at your age, you can actually seek it, just like you're doing now. You're seeking Islamic knowledge, right, on the weekends with Sheikh Tim Humble, Sheikh Abdurrahman Hassan. You have those sessions. It doesn't mean you have to fill up all week with just Islamic knowledge when you've got exams as well. You can do both, inshallah. I really believe people can do both, inshallah. Sister Jawadi has asked another good question. I don't know the answer to this, and I'm not going to answer this. Inshallah, what I recommend is email the team. There's an email. Inshallah, on the junior mentorship portal, there should be an opportunity to email us. There's an email address there. Inshallah, you can email us, and we'll try and get one of the better teachers, Ustad Tim Humble and Ustad Abdurrahman Hassan, to answer that question. The email is support@amaujunior.com. support@amaujunior.com. It's a good question, but I don't know the answer to it. Will there be a big quiz at the end of the AMAU Junior program? So right now you guys have monthly quizzes, right? So every month you have a quiz. As for a big quiz, we'll think about it, inshallah. We don't know. We're going to think about it, inshallah. How many hours shall we spend doing Islamic activities while revising? As much as you can. Obviously, there's no set answer for everyone. Remember what I said, that everybody has a different set of circumstances. Everyone needs to know their own commitments, get to know themselves. And accordingly to their own ability and their own commitment, they can decide how much Islamic activities they can do, how much revision they need to do. It all depends on when your exams are, how close you are to your exams, how prepared you are throughout the year for your exams. It's really hard to give a generic answer for that one, Sister Rihanna. Sorry, correction. I said you guys have monthly quizzes. You actually have weekly quizzes. So you have weekly quizzes. Someone is also asking, when is the quiz? I believe it's on Tuesday every week. Is that right? It's released on the AMAU Junior Mentorship portal on the website amaujunior.com. Once you log in with your details, it's released on Tuesday of every week. Apologies. That was my mistake. I said monthly, but it's actually weekly. Okay, there are some good questions being asked, but I don't know the answers to them, so I'm not going to try. The Muslim doesn't talk about Allah's religion without knowledge. If he doesn't know or she doesn't know, there's no shame in saying, I don't know. It's much better than trying to speak and try and say an answer and getting it wrong, or even getting it right. Even if you don't know the answer and you try and guess, and even if you got it right, it was wrong. It's wrong to guess. So I think some of these questions about the program, they need to be directed to the support@amaujunior.com, that email address. That will probably be the best place to send in your questions regarding the program, because I can see some of the students are asking about the program. We'll just give it one more minute, inshallah. If I'm not answering your question, then it's because I don't know the answer to it. That's honestly the truth. I'm actually reading all of the questions. Sultan asked the question, does this also apply to Islamic knowledge as well? Yes, many of the things that I mentioned, they would apply to Islamic knowledge as well. I know brothers who are seeking Islam full-time, i.e. they're in the University of Medina, for example, and they use some of these techniques. All of this is very important. You know yourself, for example, making dua and understanding that Allah is in control of the knowledge. Of course, this is definitely, goes without a doubt. As Muslims, we know this. But even some of the practical tips of eating healthy and doing exercise and making sure there's no distractions, you don't have your phone visible, and you're in a right environment, and you get to know the best way you learn and the best way you memorize. All of this applies to Islamic knowledge as well, definitely. Some things are very similar. There's one big difference between seeking Islamic knowledge and seeking secular knowledge. And that is, Islamic knowledge is a spiritual act and not just an academic one. And you can turn, it's important to note, you can turn your seeking knowledge of secular studies. What do I mean by secular studies? Maths, English, science, these kind of things. You can actually turn it into an act of worship with the correct intention. And of course, just like you're seeking Islamic knowledge, you still need the correct intention for that as well. Intention will take you a long way, brothers and sisters. Wallahi, if you really have a good intention, Allah will open up doors for you. He'll give you more knowledge. It'll take you a long way. Allah will make the path easy for you. Wa jazakallahu khairan to everybody. Sister Khadija, I know you posted your question numerous times. I would recommend emailing the admin team, support@amaujunior.com, inshallah. That is what Allah made easy for me to mention on this session. I ask Allah to help you all with your exams and to make it an act of worship for all of you that you actually get rewarded for in Jannah. You get rewarded for in the Akhirah, in the hereafter. You actually get a reward for this. Why? Because you had the right intention and you want to benefit Allah's religion through your exams, and you want to be excellent Muslims through your exams, and you want to please your parents, and the many other intentions that we mentioned as well during the session. May Allah make it easy for all of you taking exams. And until I get a chance to see you guys next time, inshallah, if Allah grants me the opportunity to do that, fi amanillahi, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.